Hi, I'm going to show you how to make this crochet puff stitch square, and I used medium worsted yarn with an H hook, and of course you can use any type of hook or yarn depending on how big or small you would like this. Okay, and the written pattern is listed down below. This is somewhat of an advanced stitch, but if you follow along, you should be able to understand how to do this type of stitch. Okay, so let's get started. To get started, slip knot onto your hook and chain 5 to create a ring. So you're going to chain 5, slip stitch in that beginning chain to create a ring. You're going to draw up your loop, yarn over, and create your first puff stitch. Insert your hook, grab the yarn up, yarn over again, insert your hook, grab the yarn, drop your loop. You have 5 loops on your hook. You're only going to yarn over and draw through the 4 loops. Then yarn over and pull through the 2 loops. Chain 1. Now you're going to do another puff stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook, drop your loop. Yarn over, insert your hook. Grab the yarn, pull up your loop. Yarn over, grab the yarn, drop your loop. For 3 times total, you'll have 7 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through only 6 loops. Then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And then you're going to chain 3 this time. So chain 3. And then you're going to create another puff stitch, 8 puff stitch all together. Draw up your loop for 3 times total, yarn over your second time, draw up your loop, yarn over, insert your hook, draw up your loop for 3 times total, and then you're going to draw through your 6 loops and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Then you're going to chain 1 this time. Then you're going to insert your hook again, draw up your loop 3 times, you're going to yarn over, pull through your 6 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And then you're going to chain 3, and then you're going to repeat. So you'll have 8 altogether. So continue on until you have 8 altogether. Now chain 1, and you're alternating between chain 1 and chain 3. And so now you're going to do another puff stitch so you can create 8 altogether. This one you'll do a chain 3 since you just did a chain 1, and you're going to go back and forth until you have all 8 altogether. You'll end with a chain 3 and slip stitch in the center of that puff stitch. Okay, you're going to slip stitch into the next chain space. And then drop your loop and create a puff stitch. Insert your hook, yarn over, insert your hook, drop your loop, yarn over, insert your hook, and drop your loop. On this first one, you're going to yarn over, pull through 4 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops, chain 1. Now you're going into a chain 3 chain space, and so you're going to create 4 puff stitches. So draw up your loop. This is your first puff stitch. You're going to do this 3 times total on each puff stitch. Drop your loop twice, and then insert your hook and drop your loop 3 times. You'll have 7 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 6 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, chain 1. Now you're going to create 3 more puff stitches in the same chain space. So insert your hook, drop the loop 3 times total, so 1, and then 2, and then 3, yarn over, pull through 6 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then chain 3. And this is creating a corner for this chain 3. Then you're going to create 2 more puff stitches in the same chain space. And you're going to do it the same exact way. Drop 3 times the loops 3 times, so that's twice, and then 3, and then yarn over, pull through 6 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 1. Then you're going to do the same thing, create another puff stitch, drop 3 times, yarn over, pull through 6 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and then chain 1. Okay, it's going to look like this. And then you're just going to repeat. In the next chain 1 space, you're going to create 1 puff stitch. So drop your loops 3 times, just like before, and then yarn over and pull through 6 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then chain 1. Now you're at another chain 3, which is another corner. You'll do it the same exact way. You'll have 4 puff stitches in that corner. So you'll create 1 puff stitch, drop your loop 3 times, and then yarn over and pull through 6 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2, chain 1, and then create another puff stitch the same exact way. Yarn over and pull through 6 loops, yarn over and pull through 2, and then chain 3. This is creating a corner, and then create 2 more puff stitches in that chain space again. And because this is kind of an advanced stitch, I just went ahead and went around the whole entire round for the second round, step by step, just in case, so nobody gets confused. So you're going to pull through 2 loops, then chain 1. You're going to create 1 more puff stitch because there's 4 altogether. Drop your loops 3 times, and then yarn over and pull through 6 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2, and then chain 1. Now in the next chain 1 space, you're going to create a puff stitch, just one. And that's the pattern around for this round 2, and just continue on until you get to the very beginning. The chain 1 gets a 1 puff stitch, and then chain 1 after this, and then the chain 3 gets 4 puff stitches. So the first one, drop your loops 3 times, yarn over, pull through 6 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and then create a chain 1. And then create another puff stitch. And then chain 3, and create 2 more puff stitches in that same chain space. Okay, pull through 2 loops, chain 1, and the next few stitches, the next one you'll do 1 puff stitch, and then in that chain 3 you'll do 4 puff stitches. So continue on until you get to the end, and I'll show you how to end. Okay, you're going to chain 1, slip stitch in the center of that puff stitch cluster, and we're going to continue on into round 3. This is what the round 2 looks like now. Slip stitch into the next chain space, drop your loop, then you're going to create your first puff stitch, which is a yarn over, insert your hook, and drop your loop. Yarn over again and drop your loop, then yarn over, pull through 4 loops, then yarn over, pull through 2, then chain 1. Then you're going to create a puff stitch in the next chain space. Each chain space for 1 chain gets 1 puff stitch. So drop your loop 3 times. So 1, 2, and then 3. Yarn over, pull through 6 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 1. Now you're in the chain 3 space, which is the corner. You're going to create 4 puff stitch every time you're in a chain 3 space. So create 1 to get started. Drop your loop, yarn over, drop your loop, yarn over, and drop your loop for a total of 3 times. Yarn over, pull through 6 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 1. Create another puff stitch, which you'll need 4 altogether. Drop your loops 3 times, yarn over, pull through 6 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 3. This is the only time you'll do chain 3 now, is in the corner after 2 puff stitches. You're going to create 2 more puff stitches, yarn over, pull through 6 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 1. Create another puff stitch. Chain 1. Now you're going to work around until you get to a corner, until you get to the beginning. So each chain 1 space gets 1 puff stitch until you get to the chain 3. So create your puff stitch in each chain 1 space. Yarn over and then pull through all 6 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and then chain 1, create a puff stitch into the next chain 1 space, and just continue that on until you get to the chain 3. Now in this chain 3 space, you're going to create 4 puff stitches. This is your first one, and then you're going to chain 1 after this one. Then you're going to create another puff stitch. Chain 3. Now create 2 more puff stitches in the chain 3 space. Chain 1. Create 1 more puff stitch in the chain 3 space. And then chain 1. And then along the edge here, you're going to create your 1 puff stitch in each chain 1 space until you get to the chain 3 space. So work that along the edge. Now you're back at the chain 3 space. You'll work your 4 puff stitches again in there. So it's your first one, chain 1, and your second one, you're going to chain 3, which creates the corner. Create 2 more puff stitches, and then chain 1 again. Create another puff stitch, so you'll have 4 all together. Okay, so this is the pattern around. It's going to look like this. You're going to have your 4 puff stitches in the corner, and then each chain 1 space gets 1 puff stitch. And this is how you work it around. So just work that around. You'll work 1 puff stitch until you get to the corner. So you'll have the 1 in each chain 1 space. You pull up 3 times and then pull through 2, and then just continue that until you get to the corner. Okay, right in that corner, you're going to work 4 puff stitches right in that corner, just like before. You're going to create a puff stitch in that chain 1 space after you did your corner there. Chain 1, and then create another puff stitch in the next chain 1 space. And then chain 1, and then slip stitch in that beginning center there of that puff stitch. And then your square is finished. You're going to chain 1 and pull through, and then weave in all your ends, and your square is finished. Okay, this is what it looks like when it's finished. Please subscribe, and thank you for watching, and the pattern is listed down below.